Coming to you from the mountains and the plain. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. My name is Max McGuire.
And this... Sorry. This is Joe Otto. I almost choked on myself there for a minute. I saw I was actually laughing a little bit at what we're talking about today because you threw me a bone.
You saw I wasn't wearing goggles. So you almost just choked and died at the shock of it. So big news. The Ghislaine Maxwell papers are released. We're going to be going through a lot of that. There was a hearing on Capitol Hill this morning with Anthony Fauci testifying. He got grilled by Jim Jordan, so we're going to play a couple minutes of that footage too, because Jim Jordan was grilling him, basically trying to get him to admit that Black Lives Matter protests were causing at least some of the coronavirus spread, and Fauci was just squirming, refusing to say anything to the sort. So we're going to play that a little bit, but I want to dive right into the issue at hand, which is these documents. These documents from Ghislaine Maxwell from her previous depositions in a civil case, basically accusations brought against her by a woman named Virginia Jeffrey. We've known about her for a while. She was one of the girls that alleges that Ghislaine Maxwell trafficked her on behalf of Jeffrey Epstein. So that was from a previous case. Those depositions were introduced in Ghislaine Maxwell's latest criminal trial, I guess, and Maxwell's attorney had tried to block them from being released, but we got them. So I want to explain a little bit of how we got them. It's actually very interesting. So many of the documents came to us unredacted, but some of the documents still have redactions on them. So Mr. Producer, let's throw up image number 4. This is what one of those documents looks like. You can see that it has to do with Virginia Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell. It says that there's a deposition, and then everything else is redacted. Here's the problem with that. The way that they redacted these documents was not the right way. Instead of redacting them and saving them as an uneditable PDF, they redacted them apparently within Microsoft Word. So if you copy all of the text here, and you paste it into a new Word document, let's put up image number 5, you can actually get rid of the redactions. You can get rid of the redactions. I didn't pull the whole thing up because it's really interesting, but you can see this is from that same document that I just showed you. Mr. Producer, let's throw up image number 4 again. This is what it looks like when they redacted it. When you copy and paste the text from that PDF and you paste it into a Word document, put up image number 5, you get to see what was in it. And that specific deposition that I just pulled up was talking about how Jeffrey Epstein allegedly likes to have his nipples twisted, how he likes to have his feet rubbed, and going through all weird, kinky kind of stuff. And Ghislaine Maxwell and her attorneys refusing to answer, and the other attorneys saying, no, you have to answer. We need to know about this. Really interesting stuff. Point is, if they had redacted it the right way, we wouldn't know that Jeffrey Epstein likes to have his nipples twisted. But because the court couldn't even do their due diligence of redacting it the right way, anyone with even basic Microsoft Word experience can copy and paste it in. It's incredible. It really is incredible. Joe, what do you think about that development?
I hope that you actually did all of this to get the whole thing so I could read the whole thing, because I want to read the whole thing. Did you do it? I haven't got a chance to read it yet.
I have it.
All right. I want to be able to read it.
I'll put it in the comment sections. I mean, it's weird stuff. It's kinky stuff. It's stuff I really didn't want to know, but it isn't all that surprising.
You know what else is not surprising?
What's not surprising?
Epstein did not kill himself.
Well, yeah, that's the allegation.
That is absolute truth. He did not kill himself. And Maxwell is not going to kill herself either. I just want to be clear. So when she
have
ends
you
up,
heard what they're doing with her?
No.
She's in a paper gown. They're moving her around within the prison to different rooms at random times so that no one actually knows where she is. That's how terrified they are that someone's going to get to her. That they're actually treating her like she's I don't know, almost like she's witness protection.
Well, that means that she has videos, and that means she has pictures that nobody wants anyone else to see. So I would not be surprised if there wasn't a treasure trove. Do you know what else is not surprising, Max? I just want you to know this. They're all Democrats. They're all Democrats. Yeah. All these pedophiles, and we're going to get to the page that actually talks about what they had to turn over, right? So the discovery documents, it talks about the names of people in this. And guess what they are as well? They're all Democrats. So when I say that there are a lot of pedophiles that are Democrats and you're either complicit with that behavior and or you are one, I'm sorry, but you're about to see something that might actually push you to believe that what I'm saying is accurate.
So I've been pushing back on you saying that for a long time, and I figured this is the opportunity. Today's episode, the subtitle is "Every Dog Gets Its Day." Joe Otto gets to go off on the international pedophiles and everything.
Hey, and it's not funny. It's not funny, but I'm telling you, I was right. I'm still right. I continue to always be right, and it's crazy when you're this right all the time.
Let's put up, because you mentioned the fact that there are pictures and there are videos.
Can we first tell people to share? We'll probably go through the same. Just tell people to share.
So we're about to show a pretty bombshell part of, and talk about it for anyone listening on audio, but we're going to show a pretty bombshell part of these deposition documents that just got released. But we need you to hit the share button. And here's a motivator. Right now we're sitting at 124 people watching us. This week Joe Biden had a live stream where 267 people were watching at the same time. So
and we get this is just on Facebook. I mean, we're all across every channels, and so we have 10, 20, 30,000 people that download this on different places. But we'd like to actually break Facebook. Let's break Facebook. Yeah. Share as many times as possible, because obviously they do everything they can to stop us from getting our message out. And this one's a really good message, because this is truth. We didn't make any of this up. We didn't make Jeffrey Epstein a pedophile. We didn't make Maxwell someone that actually brought young women into allegedly to people like Bill Clinton, and this isn't our document either, Max. I mean, this is a real document, right? So
these are real screenshots from the document. So hit the share button. If you're not going to do it for us, do it for Jeffrey Epstein's sore nipples. Hit the share button for him.
And if you missed why we're saying that, Epstein, they redacted the document incorrectly, so you could literally just copy and paste everything that was under the redaction, and then copy and paste it somewhere else, and it would actually demask all of it. Yeah, so pretty neat stuff.
And we learned that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly likes to have his nipples twisted during his massages. Anyway, here is one of the screen grabs that we took from the documents that were just released. Let's put up image number 6. So this is where, in that previous case, the plaintiff was demanding that Ghislaine Maxwell turn over any photographs or video containing any images of you and the following individuals. Now, these individuals were named for a specific reason, because that girl, Virginia Jeffrey, I want to make sure, Virginia Jeffrey, she was alleged that she was trafficked for the purposes of having sex with Jeffrey Epstein and his very powerful friends. So let's keep this image up for a little bit longer. You see the names that you expect: Ghislaine Maxwell, Alan Dershowitz, Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew, right? You see Bill Clinton, you see Al Gore. This is what almost blew me off of my seat when I watched this. I almost spit out my coffee, and I wasn't even drinking anyway. Stephen Hawking.
Oh, I know.
In this case, Virginia Jeffrey was asking for photos and videos, not of every photo. They want specific photos and videos, and she named Stephen Hawking. Now, obviously, he passed away, so that's a shame. Everyone deserves the presumption of innocence. But if someone is basically taking you to court over sexual crimes,
right,
and they ask for evidence, and they specifically enumerate the evidence they want, and it includes photos or videos of Stephen Hawking,
you have to pause just for a minute.
That makes you pause.
Just for a minute, yeah, and to be fair, he has died, right? So
yes,
we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Although showing up here means that there was some.
And we don't know.
There was some evidence.
We don't know what the video. We don't know what the video or the photos would have shown if they ended up existing. We don't know, right? It could have been completely harmless. Maybe he was the only one who went to Pedophile Island for other reasons. Who knows, right? Everyone deserves presumption of innocence. We don't know what those pictures or videos showed. But the fact that they were asked for, they were requested, and they were presumed to have existed at some point is very, very disturbing. So let's get into some of the more of the documents that we saw yesterday, what that all means. We have 203 people watching on the live stream. Welcome, everyone. We're going through some of the juiciest
on just
details.
the Facebook deal, right? So
yeah,
remember, we're trying to push hard on Facebook specifically because they do everything they can to slow us down.
Yeah.
So it's kind of our little
we're
personal.
at 200. We need to hit 267 and go over because that's how many Joe Biden had on his live stream.
Well, and
and
most
our
of the
goal
time
every
by
day
the
is
end
to
of-
beat him.
Yeah.
So that's our goal. So keep hitting the share button if you haven't already, and we'll talk about other things as more people come on that we might have already mentioned. But so let's go into this part. This is what everyone's really talking about. Let's put up image number 1. This is where Virginia Jeffrey says in her deposition that Bill Clinton was on Jeffrey Epstein's island.
Yeah.
Put a little red box around it so you can see it very easily. And I'll read it for everyone listening to the audio version. When you say you asked him, why is Bill Clinton here? Where was here? Virginia says on the island. She's asked, when you were present with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton on the island, who else was there? Ghislaine, Emmy, and there was 2 young girls that I could identify. I never really knew them well anyways. It was just 2 girls from New York. And were all of you staying at Jeffrey Epstein's house on the island, including Bill Clinton? That's correct. He had about 4 or 5 different villas on his island separate from the main house, and we all stayed in the villas. Were sexual orgies a regular occurrence on the island at Jeffrey Epstein's house? Virginia answered, yes. So right there, court documents showing that at least this person, under oath during a deposition, has alleged that Bill Clinton was not only on the island, but the line of questioning makes it suggest that Bill Clinton was also there for the purposes of having orgies, which with 2 girls that Virginia only can describe as 2 young girls. That's important. We don't know how old or young they were, but they're described as 2 young girls, which if you look at other parts of the depositions, that tends to be kind of coded language when you don't know how old someone is, but you think there might be underage. Young girls is the way to kind of get around that issue. So we know Bill Clinton was there. This is a bombshell, right? The meme, Bill Clinton is a rapist, is becoming truer and truer every day. And I don't want anyone to be a rapist, right? I don't want that to be true. I would want nothing better than for the allegations against Bill Clinton to be made up, right? If we could live in a world where the allegations against Bill Clinton were false and all of those women were not actually sexually abused and raped, I would be happy with that outcome. But the more we go into this stuff, the more obvious and the more evidence we see that no, it is looking more and more like Bill Clinton, yes, was on the island. We already knew he was on the flights. He was on the island. He went on the flights without Secret Service present. That's kind of a big red flag. I think there were dozens of flights that he was on. He was on the flights, no Secret Service present, went to the island with 2 young girls. Piece together the pieces. It's hard to paint a different picture than what everyone's thinking. I'm trying to keep this as PG as I can.
Yeah. So, what's amazing is that if we go back and let's trace some things, right? So Epstein hangs out with Bill Clinton, and put it back up again. Bill Clinton, what is it? Dershowitz.
Image number 6.
Alan Dershowitz.
Ghislaine Maxwell, Alan Dershowitz, Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew, Rue Eppinger, I don't know who that is, Bill Clinton, Stephen Hawking, Al Gore. Those were Ron Eppinger. Sorry, Ron Eppinger. Those were the ones that were requested for photos or videos. Yes, keep going.
Yeah, so Ron Eppinger, by the way, if you don't know who he is, he was a prolific real estate guy, right? He was also pleaded guilty to smuggling in immigrants to the country. If it's the same guy,
that makes sense then.
Pull it up. Yeah. So he was smuggling women in for prostitution into Miami.
Right? So this is good company.
Yeah, and that happened in 2001. So for him to be on the list, and he's also a prominent Democrat. He also gave money and actually funded races for Democrats, much like George Soros does, much like Epstein did, much like Weinstein did. But it's hard to ignore the facts, Max. It's hard to ignore the facts that Epstein funded Democrats. He funded them. He funded them. He created a playground for them. He basically created a playground for some of the wealthiest liberals in the country. And you say, oh, man, there's some conservatives in there. Well, show them to me. Show them to me. Hey, put up number 12. I don't know where this came from. Maybe, Max, you do. I didn't really hear. Yes, I do. So this is some of the questions that were a part of
this is about the one about you put up the Donald Trump one. We can get to that one now if you want.
Yeah, did you already have this on the thing? I just had them put up.
I had it. So keep it up, Mr. Producer. The really interesting thing is that the FBI knew about all of this as early as 2014. They probably knew about it before. You don't have the wealthiest, most powerful people going to this island in the Caribbean to have sex with minors, and that doesn't get out, right? It's really hard to keep that a secret. They knew as early as 2014. What we also saw from the documents that were released is they were probing to ask about whether Donald Trump was on the island. Very, very interesting. So I'll read. We have it up on the screen. I'll read it out. When did Donald Trump flirt with you? And she answered, he didn't. That's what's inaccurate. Did you ever see Donald Trump at Jeffrey's home? Not that I can remember. On his island? No, not that I can remember. In New Mexico? No, not that I can remember. In New York? No, not that I can remember. So they're pressuring her to try and see if Donald Trump was on the island.
Yeah. But
they're not going after Epstein.
No, not at all.
They're not going after him. They're going after Donald Trump. This is what we talk about when we say that there's two tiers of justice in this country. When you're Jeffrey Epstein and you're a Democrat, you're able to cut these deals and you're able to avoid prosecution for the worst of the worst crimes. But we see in that little tiny snippet from the documents that were just released that the FBI agents were probing into Trump. Was he here? Was he here? Was he here? Was he here? Right? If they really if it was just, they were just going through the names, they just say, oh, did you ever see Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein? No. Okay, that would be the end of it. But they're saying, well, did you see him at this location? Did you see him at this location? It's very, very forced when you read it like that. It just seems very forced, which just falls into the general narrative of the FBI has one set of rules for Democrats and Republicans. Go ahead.
But that's the issue, is that we talk about the deep state and how it does. People say, oh, the deep state doesn't exist. Well, how doesn't it? Right? How does Weinstein, fund Democrat candidates, hold huge fundraisers for Hillary Clinton, hang out with people like Oprah Winfrey, rub shoulders with people all over the country? But by the way, they're prominent Democrats. Right? Yeah. And he terrorizes young women for 3 decades. It takes 3 decades to get the guy to go to prison. 3 decades. 3 decades. Yeah. And yet you want to tell me, anyone could tell me, please tell me, call up and tell me that we don't have a pedophilia and a rapist and a closet racist problem with Democrats. I think we do. I think it is as plain as day. And the problem with the Democrats, and by the way, they're mostly disgusting. I mean, not the traditional Democrats, but this loony left, which has hijacked our society, hijacked our technology, weaponized it against the average American, tried to change everything about our schools, teaching kids in 3rd grade, hey, hold off. You don't know that you're a boy yet. Wait, you're not a boy yet. No, you get to make that decision later in life. Right now, you can be a pink dinosaur if you want, right? Or you can play with dolls. And that's fine. Look, there's nothing wrong with being gay, right? There's nothing wrong with being funny? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So I have all of the archive links to all of the U.S. court documents that we talked about in the beginning. So we have 600 people on the podcast. We've now doubled how many people were watching Joe Biden's. Very happy about that. He had 267. We have 624 right now. Keep sharing it. Since there's 6 times as many people on now, I want to talk about what we talked at the beginning and explain why this is. I'm bringing this up again. Mr. Producer, put up image number 4. This was a document that was released by the court yesterday. Yeah. It was redacted, and it was from a prior civil case between Virginia Jeffrey and Ghislaine Maxwell. Virginia Jeffrey was one of the women that was allegedly trafficked and brought onto Jeffrey Epstein's island as a quote-unquote masseuse by Ghislaine Maxwell. And you can see that the document was redacted. But they did such a poor job of redacting the document that if you actually just scrolled over and copied the text, you could then paste it into a Word document. Let's put up image number 5. This is what that same text redacted looks like when you paste it into a Word document. And you can see everything. And it's really scandalous stuff. Things like Jeffrey Epstein likes to have his nipples twisted. Really weird stuff. And how they're going back and forth about whether she has to answer the questions about the nipple twisting or not. Very, very weird, deviant stuff.
Right.
That's a big deal because I just tried to copy and paste the link of archived federal documents. Literally, this was released to the public by a federal court.
Right.
People took them, archived them. I just tried to share some of the links, and Facebook blocked me from sharing them in the comments section for violating their community standards.
How? How does it violate community standards? This is the weaponization of technology right here. Let's not talk about the fact that there's a massive problem in our country with pedophilia and trafficking children. Guys, listen, this is not a problem with, prostitution. This isn't legalizing the sex trade. No, this is literally taking advantage of children. Children. They groom these children. Yeah. They try to educate them through the system, but this is some way supposed to be acceptable. Yet now Facebook is saying you can't share it. You can't share it.
You
can't share it because
I cannot share the links.
No shedding light
to federal court documents. I can't do it.
So Facebook is basically saying we don't want the general public to know about what's going on in this country. We don't want the general public to know that there are Democrats, prominent Democrats, that are absolutely funding other Democrats, that are inviting them to Orgy Island, right? We can't tell the public about that. The public you don't deserve to know about it. You're not smart enough. And by the way, if you knew it, you would never vote for another Democrat because they're actually backed by other pedophiles, rapists, and closet racists. I'm sorry, but I didn't say that they were all that, but I mean, you're either complicit with the behavior. You're either complicit with the behavior, or you're doing it because you're basically saying that you don't want to bring it to light. You don't want to bring people who traffic children. Just think about that. For those of you who have children, think about the fact that you want to be able to say it's okay. It's okay. We don't want to talk about that. We can't talk about that because it's not a convenient narrative. This is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting.
This is what pisses me off.
And then Riley said plenty of pictures of Trump and Epstein. Yeah, Riley, plenty of pictures of Trump and Epstein, but not once did he go to...
Yeah, we just went through the documents. Go ahead, put it up again, image number 2. This is from the trove of documents that was revealed to the public yesterday, where the FBI literally, she was questioned over and over again, was Donald Trump at the island with you? No. Was he at this house? Was he at this house? Was he at this house? And they kept saying no, 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 no. So sure, okay, Donald Trump was photographed standing next to Jeffrey Epstein, but when it actually counts under oath during a deposition, the answer is no, he was not at Pedophile Island having orgies with young girls.
Max, you've seen it. I have pictures standing next to kings, presidents, prime ministers. I have those pictures. Does that mean that because I've stood next to and I've had conversations with President al-Bashir of Sudan, right? The ex-president of Sudan that's now under indictment. But I've had multiple conversations with him. Does that make me a bad guy because I have pictures with the guy?
No.
I mean, does that mean that I condone genocide or ethnic cleansing in that country? The craziness about this is people want to actually justify, well, Trump took a picture with him. No, taking pictures with him and having your nipples twisted on an island and your feet rubbed, right? And having young children,
with allegedly Stephen Hawking standing in the background watching. It's weird stuff. So we're talking about Donald Trump. I want to play this cut because this is back from 2015 at CPAC, where Trump was asked about Bill Clinton and the Clintons. And this is his response. Let's play cut 1.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Yeah.
So if you were a co-conspirator in those crimes,
why would you bring it up? Why would you bring it up?
Openly bring it up?
No, you wouldn't bring it up.
Why would you encourage an investigation against someone who could even remotely implicate you? You would never do it. This is why it doesn't make sense. And here, let's play this. This is cut 3. It's from a couple of years ago. One of the lawyers representing one of the plaintiffs against Epstein, his estate, he was interviewed asking if Donald Trump was in on it. And he said, no, Donald Trump wasn't in on it. In fact, he was the only person that we called that actually tried to help us get to the bottom of all this. Let's play cut 3.
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009.
Bombshell.
So not only is the lawyer saying that his investigation did not find that Donald Trump was in on it, but when he actually sent either the strongly worded letter or the subpoena, he didn't really say which it was. Not only did Donald Trump respond, but he actually gave him a bunch of time to help him get to the bottom of everything going on with Epstein. Again, if you're in on it, if you're a co-conspirator, you do not start opening your mouth and talking. So I had those 2 cuts prepared because I knew we were going to get a troll in the comment section. I feel like Kayleigh McEnany at this point, coming in prepared with my little binder, ready for every question. I knew someone was going to mention it, so I had to have those 2 lined up, ready to go. All right, Joe, go ahead. I just had to respond to that troll.
I just think and you know what? It's a bombshell, though, Max. Let's call it what it is. It's a bombshell. We're talking about a bombshell. Every time you turn around, they say he's a racist, he's a bigot, he's all these things. No, they are. Yeah. This is projection. We're dealing with a large amount of projection because finally someone's in office that can't be bought. He doesn't need 2 things, right? So there's 2 things that you need in order to have a drunkenness with power, right? A desire for money, more money, or a desire for more fame. He was already really famous before he got into office, right? He could go create a TV show if that's all he cared about. He could have, on the money side.
He married a supermodel.
He married a, yes.
He married a supermodel. Like,
but they spend,
really
Democrats.
He's going to pedophile island?
But they spend all of this time going after President Trump. They spend all this time going after President Trump, and they ignore this massive problem that they have within their ranks. And it's not a mistake that Weinstein, during Trump's campaign, during Trump's time in office, I'm sorry, not campaign, but time in office, got prosecuted for abusing and raping women. That's not a coincidence, right? It's not a coincidence that we're having people like Epstein and Maxwell brought to justice. It's not we don't even have Michael Pincus. We haven't even talked about that guy. Research that guy. It's crazy. He's the Zynga guy that had a connection to Facebook, right? I want to say it again. Zynga was the gaming model that was implemented and deployed on Facebook, right? So now we have a connection between one of the guys that just got busted for one of the biggest pedophilia rings in Asia and Central Europe, right? Connected to Facebook, right? And we already know that Facebook and Google and all these other organizations, they collaborate on how to deplatform people. They collaborate on what they need to do in order to silence people's voices. We already know that happens.
Well, yeah,
right?
No, the fact that I just tried to share court documents, archived versions of court documents, nothing crazy. Yeah. It's archive.org. It's a nonprofit organization that lets you put a URL in.
You
and
did
it takes
download
a screen
them, right?
capture. Yeah, I have the whole list.
Okay, good.
I had the whole list.
Good.
But it wouldn't let me share it. So this is what I mean. For the fact that Facebook won't let me share that. Like we watched this week. This is my take on this. We watched this week as those doctors were in front of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Saying their truth, to use a leftist term, their truth. Giving a press conference, right? Having some kind of a forum where they talked about it. We saw that their website was taken down by their host, taken off the internet, right? Yeah. Their videos of their event was scrubbed from every social media platform, every video sharing platform out there. Right, the one, I forgot her name, the female emergency room doctor got fired from her hospital. She got fired from her hospital because she happened to say, in her opinion, that hydroxychloroquine works. Not us saying it. We're just citing a doctor who said it. And also, caveat, don't want to get deplatformed. I don't want this to be what takes us down. The CDC and the WHO does not believe that hydroxychloroquine is effective in treating COVID-19. That's the disclaimer. Have to say that or else we'll get taken off the internet. She was deplatformed. Their website was taken down, right? Everyone looked into their lives, found all their dirty laundry. Explain to me why the same thing doesn't happen to the pedophiles and the people with child porn. If we can take the entire internet establishment, all the tech companies, all the media companies, everyone at their keyboard, all the keyboard warriors, and in one day you can find out everything about these people. They can be fired and they can lose all of their websites. Why isn't that also happening with the child pornographers and the pedophiles? Why isn't it? We've proven that it's possible. We've proven that if there is a will, there is a way. The only reason that it's not happening to the child pornographers and the pedophiles is there's not the will. There's not the will in big tech to go after them.
And there's too many people. There's too many people. It doesn't make me wonder why. It doesn't make me wonder why we're dealing with this much corruption, right? The fact that they want to take God out of schools. They want to teach kids that, hey, you don't know your sex in 3rd grade, right? It's an epidemic. We have literally this ideology that is this sick ideology that is creeping into every part of our life. And here we're dealing with, again, truth. And there's another troll on here that doesn't want to hear truth. Right? That wants to talk about, it's Trump's fault. Okay. You know what? Go hang out in the closet. Go hang out in the closet.
Mr. Producer, put up the meme. Just gotta add this one to try and take them out. The meme I just sent you. This is how I feel that all the liberals are today.
Yeah.
The liberals are the women on the left and the right. They're crying that Donald Trump wasn't on Epstein Island. And I'm just sitting there right in the middle with this shit-eating grin on my face, smiling. Right? That's what we're experiencing here.
Yeah.
All these trolls are actually upset that the president is not a pedophile rapist. Like, as I mentioned, I wish that all this would be a conspiracy theory. I wish that all of this was fake, because that would mean that girls were not abused. That would be the best outcome.
Max,
but you actually have people on here wishing that girls were abused because it would fit their political agenda.
Right.
It's sick.
Which is sick. It's sick. I mean, guys, if you're listening, tell me how I could see it any differently. Oh, yeah, there's a picture of him talking to Epstein. Okay, all right. Okay.
No, he talked to Epstein. Oh, wow. Uh-oh. I guess we have to also investigate the Starbucks barista that took his order every morning. We got to investigate her, too. She talked to him, too. I mean, this is getting stupid. This is getting real stupid. But, again, it just shows you how twisted they are, that they actually want this to be true, but they only want Trump to be implicated.
So, and what's happening right now, by the way, is that they're freaking out. The left is freaking out because they're getting exposed at every angle. They're getting exposed on COVID. They're getting exposed on the Russia hoax. They're getting exposed on what's happening with the pedophilia rings and the rapists that are in positions of power that are actually funding Democrats. They're getting exposed on the fact they've hijacked what Black Lives Matter means and turned it into a Marxist and socialist agenda. They're getting exposed. The educators and the professors at universities are getting exposed. We have all of this being exposed. And kids coming up, by the way, I think kids coming up through college, they're looking for something to fight for. They're looking to matter. When they get out of college, they're like full of piss and vinegar, and they just want to make a difference. And they've been muled into, hey, equality, not opportunity. Just everyone needs to be the same and mediocre and not win. Everyone gets a participation trophy, right? That's what they're doing. Yeah. And we're having to tolerate it. Yeah. It's not going to be difficult.
Jim wrote in the comment section. I just have to take out the trolls one more time. I actually forgot. Thanks for reminding me, Jim, that Donald Trump actually threw Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago resort.
Yeah, said he can't come back. He banned him from it.
Banned him. If he was a co-conspirator, maybe wouldn't you want to keep your other co-conspirators close to the vest? No, he banned them. Right. So it's really, really interesting. So we have to take a real quick break and mention our sponsor for today. Our sponsor is actually the Conservative Daily Store, which you can find it in the link. Today's what we're pimping out today is our Win Stupid Prizes T-shirt. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and a picture of a tear gas canister. So if you want to help support the show, support the channel, explain to the rioting leftists that if they play stupid games, they will win stupid prizes, meaning if they riot, they'll get tear gas. Feel free to check out the link in the description and purchase one of the shirts to help support the show, support the channel. Anyway, little product placement aside. Joe, for a long time, you've talked about how there's an international aspect to this. Yes. And this is what I mean when I say you are the dog finally getting its day.
100%. I want to finally talk about it.
Let's put up image number 7. This is right from the documents just revealed, showing that the allegation includes that, quote, Epstein also sexually trafficked the then minor Jane Doe, making her available for sex to politically connected and financially powerful people. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, Miss Maxwell, and a couple other names, and Alan Dershowitz, that were the ones having sexual relations allegedly with Jane Doe number 3.
Wow.
That's from it.
I mean,
have not only have Alan Dershowitz, which is a weird kind of thing since he was like one of the president's defense lawyers. Obviously, Trump didn't pick him for that. Trump picked him for the impeachment defense because he was the only liberal who actually supported the president, right? But it's a weird thing to have and Alan Dershowitz is actually suing anyone that alleges that he did it. So we have to be very, very careful to say that these are allegations and yet unproven, and he has to have his day in court if he actually gets prosecuted, and everyone's has a presumption of innocence. But it's very strange, leaving Alan Dershowitz out of it, it's very strange when the Duke of York, British royalty, UK royalty, is involved. And then you see this. Let's go to image number 8. This is one of the stories from the last day. Prince Andrew actually lobbied the U.S. government so that Jeffrey Epstein could get a favorable plea deal, court documents claim. Think about that. The FBI has Jeffrey Epstein in their clutches. They're ready to pounce on him. They know that he's bringing powerful people to this island, and he's bringing young girls there, and it's really gross what's happening on this island. Right? It's really gross. They have it. British royalty intervenes to try and give him leniency. Why? Yeah. Because he was at the parties.
And this is the problem. We are dealing with a large group. It's like a fraternity. It's a fraternity of pedophiles. And by the way, anyone that has that has even paid attention to what's happened in Hollywood, anyone, it's a breeding ground for making it look desirable. But thousands of women, young women, go to LA looking for their chance to become an actress in LA to get abused. The stories have been coming out of LA for years, yet it's a hotbed of Democrats. I mean, we're dealing with massive problems. Massive problems. They can't run away from this. Yeah,
you can't.
But sooner or later,
that's the international aspect of it.
Tell me how Facebook can stop us from sharing documents that are absolutely archived, that have to do with court documents, and what their motives would have to be behind it. What is the motive for Facebook? Shame on you, Facebook. Shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame on you for letting children get trafficked. That's what you're doing. You're allowing this voice not to get out there, and you're actually condoning. You're becoming complicit in the behavior of trafficking children. That's what you're doing.
And I think that one of the issues with this is, remember, it was like a week or two ago, there was the conspiracy theory about Wayfair, the furniture company, online furniture and houseware company. And people had found some things on Wayfair's website that were ridiculously priced, like a filing cabinet for $10,000. And then they started saying, well, wait, the product listing has the same name as a kid who went missing. And then they start saying, well, wait a minute, are they deliberately selling things at a higher price because the people who buy a filing cabinet for $10,000 aren't buying the filing cabinet, they're buying the kid that the filing cabinet's named after. Now, Wayfair has claimed that that's not true. The fact checkers have claimed that it's not true, not because they investigate it, but because they asked Wayfair and Wayfair said it's not true. That's how Facebook's fact checking goes nowadays. Their idea of research is asking the accused, did he do it? Accused says no. Okay, that means it's false. I don't know one way or another, but I know that people would stop thinking this if big tech would actually come out on the side of the marginalized and the abused. The reason that people jump so easily to the belief that tech companies are in on it is because they're deliberately trying to stop the truth from getting out there. Whether the fact that I cannot share the link to archive court documents because they show that Jeffrey Epstein likes having his nipples twisted, Facebook will not let me share that document with you. They will not. It's against their community guidelines for me to share that document with you.
Yep. Well, welcome to the deep state. Welcome to the deep state. Go ahead, tell me it's not true. Tell me it's not true. Tell me we're not dealing with a deep state when they actually are condoning the behavior of abusing children. Say what you want. Democrats are literally complicit in the behavior. You're either staying with that party, you drop away from the party. You don't want to be a Republican, don't be a Republican. But get away from the Democrat Party because they're a party of just dirtbags. So
Yeah.
You tell me, Max. When I was in Kenya, I want to use it as an example because I did some work. I've done work all over the country, all over the world, and I was staying at a hotel, and I had to stay there for several months, and on and off. I'd come back and forth and back and forth, and we built this really great project over there. But I stayed at this hotel, and when I stayed there, I'd see other pastors and people with nonprofits come and stay at those hotels. And I went into the hotel, did my work, went to sleep, got up, went and did my work, came back. I did this every single day. I'd go downstairs, have a bite to eat. On my birthday, over those couple months, they would literally, and it ended up being a couple of years, but this couple of months was an intense time for me, so I got to observe things. So I would go down, for my birthday, they actually baked me a birthday cake, and I went upstairs, and I would see the pastor, right? By the way, yes, he was a Democrat, right? He was absolutely a Democrat, right? And we would have conversations because at that time we were talking about who to vote for and did you vote for Obama and blah, blah, blah. So I would have conversations with him in the bar, right? And I would see young women come in and out of his room. So the organization that hired that guy, I finally had to say something to him. They're like, oh, he's the head pastor. Ha, ha, ha. They come here. It's like, I kid you not. These are people in the organization there to help people in Africa, infrastructure, building out things for them, right? And they's like, well, that Africa's the devil, quote unquote, the devil's playground. That's what they said to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? Are you serious?
No, it's very real. Sex tourism is very real. In the United States, it tends to be around things like the Super Bowl, and all those big events. Wherever the Super Bowl is, there is an increase in child trafficking, in sex trafficking. It's horrible. But no, that also exists in Africa, in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, specifically, even in Eastern Europe. People go there specifically because the laws allow them to do things that are so vile, they'd be put away for 10, 20, 30 years if they did it here. Right? It's disgusting, but it exists. It really does exist. The fact that Jeffrey Epstein had his own private island because he didn't want to have to go through customs to do it is what makes it even more disgusting.
Yeah,
right?
and the fact that it became an off-the-radar place where if you didn't have the logs, the flight logs, you would never know that these people were actually on the island. You wouldn't know. Right?
Yeah.
We are dealing with some sick
or these
and demented
depositions
people, or the depositions.
Or these depositions that should have been properly blacked
Max,
out, but they forgot.
They also, by the way, tried to stop these depositions from getting out. They tried to stop it.
They fought like hell.
Yeah,
they fought like hell to stop it.
Tried to fight it. So I'm telling you, why would you fight it? If you have nothing to hide, why would you fight it? And you know what? These people in positions of power and authority in the financial world, it's going to rock the financial world. It's going to rock it, and it should rock it. And for all of you that, like this Jane person that got up here and said, oh, they were buddies. Yeah, no, they weren't buddies. I'm nice to people. It doesn't mean that I'm their buddy. Right? I have people that I have to deal with in business. Doesn't mean that I like them, right?
It doesn't mean you go to Pedophile Island with them either.
No, you don't. And he didn't. And again, we play the video again in 2009 of the attorney basically saying that the only person that actually cooperated, picked up the phone, and said, I will give you as much time as you need. You tell me how much time you need, I will give it to you. Right? Who does that if somebody has pictures or video? And I promise you, they have pictures and video that got Prince Andrew to actually call and try to get leniency for Epstein. That actually happened. Right? And by the way, you know what else happened, Max? Epstein didn't kill himself. That didn't happen either.
No, I mean,
right?
Yeah, no. When you have a list of that many powerful people that were on the island with you, you don't kill yourself, right? It's just, you don't do that. You just don't. And so we've talked about how big tech companies are protecting these people.
Okay, hold on.
Which is obvious. It's obvious they are. We talked about how the FBI had this information in 2014. They did nothing with it. Spoiler alert. Who do you think was in charge of the FBI at the time? Put up image number 3, Mr. Producer. This guy, James Comey. Yeah. This is the face he makes when he learns that we all know that he had the dirt on these pedophiles and did nothing about it. That's the face you make. It's everyone listening to the podcast, not watching it. It's it's James Comey like, ooh. It's a very funny picture. But no, so we know that big tech is doing this. Right. We know that there's people in the FBI who, for whatever reason, I don't want to say that they were on the island too, but for whatever reason, they don't want these powerful Democrat politicians, fundraisers, businessmen to go to jail. We know the FBI was putting their finger on the scale. We also know that the media was putting on the scale. This is a video that Project Veritas released not too long ago, talking about how this ABC reporter had all of this. Everything we're talking about, she had it all. And her network spiked the story. Let's play cut 2.
And said, no, don't do it.
She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal.
So that was released a couple of months ago, maybe last year, I forget when it was, but that reporter at ABC had everything we're talking about. All of these bombshell revelations, she had it, and her network spiked it.
Yeah. Why? Ask why. Yeah. By the way, we have a couple more trolls that wanted to join us here, right? That are saying, oh, just because some right-wing deal. Your right-wing crap doesn't work anymore. Don't you get it? You trolls don't have any power. You know what's power? Is the fact that we can actually prove the fact that they had an entire dossier of people that are Democrats that fund other Democrats that are literally buying children. And you're complicit. All the people on here that want to talk crap, I'd go away because we're just taking screenshots of all of you. We'll put them up here and say, hey, this is one of the leftists. This is one of the leftists that's complicit.
We are that was purely figurative. We are not going to dox anyone because doxing someone in that manner would be a violation of Facebook's terms of service.
I didn't say dox them. I didn't say dox them. We just take those comments, just put them up there. Put them up there. Put the comments up there.
Instead of deleting them, I might just start leaving them up so that everyone can see how stupid they are.
We'll leave them up. Let people decide what to do. Let the people decide.
Yeah. So that's the question. Why we understand.
Children.
Why?
They're doing this to children. I have 2 kids. You have 1 and 1 on the way, right? Just imagine this happening. Guys, close your eyes. Everyone that's listening, close your eyes for just a half a minute and think about someone doing something deviant to your child.
Well, don't think about that. That's disgusting. Think about that evidence for that exists, and big tech doesn't want anyone to know about it. The FBI doesn't want to prosecute it, and the legacy media sources spike the story, right? Yeah. That is what pisses me off because, imagine that you're in this situation and every single powerful entity that could possibly do anything about it is either complicit in it or is not helping and not doing anything to stop it.
Yep.
That's what pisses me off because before it was one-offs, right? It was one-offs like, oh, well, that's interesting. But when you have Facebook not allowing me to share these documents, when you have the FBI, we see that they had the whole case cut and dry, open and closed.
And did nothing.
Lock him up for a long time. And
did nothing.
British royalty intervened. And then you see the legacy media had it for years, and they still protected him. What does Jeffrey Epstein have on those legacy media producers to make them so terrified that they wouldn't want to air the story? Because as we're showing, these are depositions. These are people testifying under oath.
Dottie just said, what about Wiener's laptop? You're right. They had that too.
Yeah, right? Where'd that go?
With child porn? I mean, it just is crazy. DeMichael said something. He said, hey, the Pats owner is the Patriots owner is a pedophile.
Well, I know that he went to massage parlors and he got a little something extra. Let's keep it PG-13. Yeah. He got a little something extra. I don't know if he had his nipples twisted like Jeffrey Epstein, but he was going to it was actually a weird story. He was going to the same strip mall in Florida over and over again to get his special massages. We'll just call it that. I have not heard anything that he's a pedophile, just that he was basically seeking out prostitutes.
Right.
So there's really no evidence to that. If you have evidence, please feel free to show it.
Yeah,
I hate
share
the Patriots.
Sure. I hate them along with you. So there you go. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers
And again,
fan.
I don't want it to be true. I don't want it to be true that anyone is victimized, right? No one wants this to be true. If you think we're over here like licking our lips saying, oh, this is great, we now get to nail them. They did it. No. I would have been happy to have been proven wrong, have all these conspiracy theories proven wrong, because it means that children, girls, were not victimized.
Right.
That's what it would mean. Everyone should be hoping that this was false. The fact that it's turning up true, or at least allegedly true, according to court documents, should infuriate everyone. And the fact that legacy media, social media, and the FBI are covering it up.
Yeah. And you know what's even worse about it is that they wake up every morning thinking that they're good people. They wake up every morning attacking Trump and attacking people that want our country to remain this democratic republic. They want to attack us. They want to attack us while they go and abuse children and traffic them through different cities and drug them and do things to just destroy kids. I just want you to understand that. You're destroying children.
There's no coming back when you're in that room.
You're a sicko.
Which, if we put up image number 6 again, if you're in that room with all of these deviants, and there's apparently Stephen Hawking in the corner doing whatever it is he was doing, and you're abused, you don't come back from that. I mean, the left loves to talk about how powerful people abuse their power, and that when you're in the room with a powerful person, there's no such thing as consent, because there's the difference in the power structure. So you cannot consent to British royalty because they're royalty and they'll ruin your life if you say no, right? Leftists love to talk about that. But then when we have this cut and dry, not evidence that it's completely true, but allegations in depositions, you see them saying, oh, it's fake news. It's not fake news.
Why were they sealing it? Why were they sealing it? Hey, put up that clip again for these people. The one that 2009, the attorney saying that Donald Trump.
Let's
play that one more time. Can we play that one more time, Max?
So this is cut 3. This is Donald Trump. This is the lawyer for one of the alleged victims doing an interview. He's asked whether Donald Trump was in on it, and the lawyer says no, Donald Trump was one of the only people who came out and helped them. Let's play cut 3.
Nothing at all. The only thing that I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him.
That was in 2009?
That was in 2009.
Boom.
Yeah, so that's
for all of you trolls that want to tell me that case by itself, just tell that. By the way, that's the attorney that served subpoenas in order to figure out all the details, get all the sordid details of what was happening on Orgy Island, right? And Trump picked up the phone, literally picked up the phone himself, called him and said, whatever time you need, I'll give it to you. You want to know why? Because President Trump has children. That's why. Because President Trump understands that you don't abuse children. That's what he knows, right? And that's why he fights the way he fights today. He wakes up every day working 20 hours a day to help the American people, because he knows that we're in a hole. We're in a hole with socialists and Marxists and people that want to destroy the fiber of our country. This is it's ridiculous that people can even defend it, that they can actually get on here and run their mouth and tell me, like sit here and tell me that, oh, yeah, wait, Max, you and Joe, you're wrong. You're wrong. I could give them all the details in the world. I could hit them with a bat with all the details, and they would still stand up for these pedophiles, rapists, and closet racists. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. So we have a lot of people watching. We have blown through Joe Biden's live stream. I was hopeful. I thought this topic would do it. Joe Biden had 267 people watch his live stream. We're up to 1,600 people right now.
Yeah.
So we are probably going to be penalized by Facebook for talking about this. There's no doubt in my mind. The way it works is, like, the fact checker organizations will see that we made some claim. They will decide that that's false before researching it. Then they will write an article detailing why it is false. And they actually don't have to disprove it. They just have to say there's no evidence to support the claim.
Max, people need to know, and the fact checkers need to know, that we just did file a lawsuit against one of the fact checkers personally 2 days ago, we filed against a fact checker, and we're going after them, right? So I have to tell you that if you're a fact checker and you want to go through this and say that we did something that we didn't do, we will sue you, right? And you'll run out of money before we do. We'll sue you personally. We'll sue your organization. We're done letting you weaponize technology against the people in the United States. We're done. We're done. You want to do it? Go do it over in Russia. Go do it over there. You're not doing it here.
So this is what I'm going to say. If you like what we're talking about and you want to help us, we showed the link for the T-shirt. If you want to buy the T-shirt, great. More importantly, there's a link to sign up for our daily newsletter. Please do consider signing up for our daily newsletter. That helps us take our community off of Facebook into a realm that the big tech companies can't as easily control. Yep. We also have links to follow us on Parler. Parler is a free speech platform at Conservative Daily, all one word. Follow us there. Happy to follow you back.
Max.
We also have links to subscribe to the audio version of the podcast.
So can we add something else?
Please do like and follow the page. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to add something else just for you guys listening. We're also going to put a text together, right, so that you can actually, at the moment that we're actually about to go live, most of the time it's at noon every day, but at the moment we're going to do it, we're going to send out a text.
2 Eastern, yeah.
Yeah, 2 Eastern, sorry. Yes. So we're going to basically send out a text to everyone. We just started putting this into play where you'll literally get a text message to say, hey, here's the podcast address, right, if you want to watch it later, or it's live right now. So we're also going to be doing that. We're going to be using it, and this is why we're on 13, 14, 15 different platforms, is because the voice is getting out there. It's getting out there, and people are listening to it, and they're understanding it because we back everything we say up with facts. We don't walk in here and use innuendo, right? I mean, I do at some point. I have said pedophiles, rapists, and closet racists, and Max is like, we can't talk about that right now. But we just showed it to you. Like, we just showed it to you.
Now we can.
And then wait. We have a person on here that says, I'm a victim of petties. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm sorry you're a victim of petties. That to me just, and man, to have the courage to actually stand up and say that, so that we're actually reading that comment. I'm reading that comment, and it crushes my soul, Max. It crushes my soul.
Well, it makes you realize how evil someone in the FBI needs to be to grant Jeffrey Epstein a deal. It shows you how evil someone in Facebook has to be to say, no, we're not going to let you share links to court documents. Someone just asked for a brief synopsis of what happened on this episode. Yesterday, all the court documents got released. Some of them were redacted, but they didn't redact the documents the right way. So if you dragged your mouse over the documents, copied it, and pasted it into a Word document, the redactions went away. And you could actually see all the text underneath. And it was weird stuff of Jeffrey Epstein liking his nipples twisted. Very weird stuff. We're not supposed to see it. If you try and share those links into Facebook, Facebook says it's a violation of their community guidelines because apparently sharing court-released documents is now against Facebook's guidelines. So very, very weird stuff talking about how big tech, the FBI, legacy media are deliberately trying to spike this story to stop you from hearing about it, and just the general implications. So you can rewind and watch the whole episode again. This was a good one. We had a ton of people on. But I'll reiterate, we have a bunch of links in our Facebook and YouTube stream descriptions for ways you can subscribe to the audio version of the podcast, join our newsletter, like and follow our Facebook page, all that. Please, if you're seeing this for the first time, please do consider clicking those links, joining our community so that you can get updates and alerts when we go live, because we really appreciate having you. Tons of comments in the comment section.
Hey, so Judy also asked where documents can be downloaded. We can't put the links up to do it, but when we can, Max, you can give them really quick, like where the archives are, and they can look for them. We'll figure out a way to post some of those later. We're just going to have to, we'll probably have to put them on a document on a website, and we'll share that with everyone later.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure out a way to do it because we just showed briefly some screen grabs from it. So since it's newsworthy, we're allowed to talk about it. I don't want to do anything that will get Facebook to use that as an excuse, because it's not that we're violating terms of service. It's that they're looking for an excuse to ban us. So we have to be very careful with how we do it, but it is all archived. If you go to places like Reddit, the Donald, .win, you can find these kinds of documents. They're all archived, but we can't post them because not only will Facebook not let us, but if we find a way to get around that ban, they will hold us accountable. So again, check out the links in all the descriptions, join the community, subscribe to the podcast. The reason, and just to make sure everyone knows, the reason that we had 1,600 people on the podcast today is because I want to get
at one
the final
time.
count.
So it's actually like 30,000 people, but at one time we have 1,600 people.
At one time. The reason is because 463 people shared the video. So that helped us get past Facebook artificially blocking our reach. So when 463 people share it, the result is that we're able to bust through the algorithm and people were able to hear the message. So when we say, please like, comment, and share, it's not just because we want to pimp our own show. It's because Facebook is doing everything they can to stop us from organically reaching people. So the only way we can do that is if you hit the share button, if you like the video, and if you comment in the comment section. That busts through the algorithm. It makes it seem like it's too newsworthy for Facebook to block. So thank you everyone for hitting the share button. That helped us get through it. And it's amazing what happens when Facebook's algorithm gets pushed aside, right? So any final words, Joe, as we wrap this episode up?
Listen, this is the thing this is one of those subjects that just boils my blood, right? So we have to protect kids, right? And kids turn into adults, and that trafficking, that just imagine a lifestyle where you just basically are treated like a piece of meat. Both men and women, both young boys and young girls. And so have enough courage to stand up. And man, if I had to say anything to all of you is that in November, we need to vote, and we need to make sure that we keep President Trump in office and he continues to do the things he's doing to pull apart this very, very evil empire that the Democrats have actually created. Yeah, absolutely right. So again, that's going to be it for the podcast. You can download the podcast, subscribe to it, audio version on Apple Podcasts if you have an iPhone, Google Play Store if you have an Android. Find us on Spotify, TuneIn, all these different places. Everywhere you find podcasts, you can pretty much find us now. You can also find us. We're live streaming on Facebook and YouTube, and we have a Parler account at Conservative Daily, all one word. Follow us, and we'll follow you back. Definitely check us out. We also have other links in the description if you want to help support the channel by buying a T-shirt. So again, that's going to be it for this episode. My name is Max McGuire. And I'm Joe Otto.
And remember that the fight to take back our country is not over, but the only way we win is if we all stand and fight together.